Okay, so I've been following the India-China border situation for a long time, and I've got to say, this is something else. We're talking about a potential deal that could completely redraw a map that's been fought over for more than 60 years. But is it the major breakthrough it looks like? Or is there something else going on entirely? Let's get into it.
I mean, it sounds almost too good to be true, doesn't it? A massive chunk of land, a source of tension since the 1962 war, just handed back? But as we're about to find out, there is way more to this story than meets the eye.
So that's what we're going to do. We are going to unpack every detail of this alleged proposal, what's being offered, what's being asked for in return, and the incredible strategic games being played behind the scenes, all based on the source analysis. Right, let's start with the offer itself. It all centers on this vast, high-altitude desert region that's been a flashpoint for decades, Aksai Chin. And we're not talking about a small piece of land here. This is 48,000 square kilometers. Just to put that in perspective, that's bigger than Switzerland. And this is the territory that the source we're looking at claims China is now offering to just give back to India.
But here's where it gets really interesting. It's the way this offer is supposedly being made. This isn't some concession after a battle. It's a proposal for a peaceful return. And that should immediately make you ask one question. What's the catch?
And that, of course, brings us to the other side of the deal. Because this isn't a gift, it's a trade. So what exactly is China asking for in return?
Now, on paper, this looks like an absolutely incredible deal for India. Get this massive territory back, and all you have to give up is this tiny little valley. But as we're about to see, when you're playing geopolitical chess, size isn't everything, not even close.
And this is where the analysis we're looking at just drops this powerful analogy. The argument is that China is basically trying to trade something they already took from India for something that is and always has been India's. This metaphor perfectly captures why that tiny piece of land might actually be the real prize.
So why? What is so important about Tawang? Well, the report calls this the Tawang trap, arguing that its strategic value is just off the charts, way more than its size would suggest. It's a prize that's military, political, and even spiritual.
Okay, first, let's talk military. Tawang is absolutely critical. It sits at a choke point that's basically a gateway into Tibet. It gives you incredible high ground advantages, and control over Tawang, the thinking goes, could also be used to sever the connection between Bhutan and its main ally, India.
And politically, the stakes get even higher. The view here is that if India actually agreed to trade Tawang, it would send a message that its own sovereign territory is up for grabs. This could strengthen China's claim over the entire state of Arunachal Pradesh and basically throw the whole border dispute wide open again.
And then there's this whole other layer, the spiritual one. Tawang is a huge center for Tibetan Buddhism. It's considered a key location in the whole process of what happens after the current Dalai Lama. So if you control Tawang, you could have immense influence over the future of Tibetan Buddhism itself. You see, this is about way more than just a piece of land.
Okay, so that begs the obvious question, right? If Tawang is that important, why on earth would China even show its cards and make this offer right now? Well, the analysis points to a whole mix of pressures, both inside and outside the country. The report paints a picture of a China that's feeling the squeeze. We're talking economic problems, youth unemployment, things that can cause real social instability. And at the same time, it's facing a much stronger, much more confident India on its border, all while trying to navigate a pretty hostile global scene. The argument is that all these pressures are forcing them to rethink their strategy. And here it is. This is the real kicker. The ultimate endgame, according to this source, isn't really about making peace with India. It's about strategic triage. The claim is that China wants to quiet down this difficult, costly border so it can free up every single resource, military, economic, you name it, and focus on what it sees as the main event, Taiwan. So you have this incredibly complex, high-stakes offer on the table. How in the world did India react? Well, the source material we're looking at highlights a response that's as simple as it is powerful, and it's a world away from how things used to be done.
Yeah, this analysis really draws a sharp line in the sand between the India of the past and the India of today. Back in the 50s and 60s, the policy is described as appeasement, which this view says led to losing all that land. Today, it's a totally different ballgame. It's a policy of strength, backed up by a massive buildup of new roads, tunnels, and military hardware right at the border.
In India's response to this alleged offer from China, it perfectly captures this new policy. There was no official statement, no denial, no secret talks, nothing, just complete and total silence.
The source calls this assertive silence. It's the idea that sometimes saying nothing at all sends the loudest possible message. And the message here, according to the analysis, is crystal clear. Both Aksai Chin and Tawang are integral parts of India, period. One cannot be traded for the other because sovereignty is not for sale.
And this silent stance, well, it's backed up by some very loud, very public statements from the highest levels of the Indian government. This quote, which is attributed to India's Home Minister, makes it pretty clear what the official position is. Aksai Chin is non-negotiable.
So that's where we land, with this huge, unanswered question. Is this reported offer a genuine attempt at peace from a nation feeling the pressure, or is it a masterfully deceptive trap, an opening move in a much bigger, much more complicated game? We don't know the answer, but one thing is for sure, the stakes couldn't possibly be higher.